This week, we talk about the never-ending expansion of power tool battery platforms.
Plus, Milwaukee releases the biggest rocket light ever while Ryobi digs deep.
This is your Power Tool Week in Review. Today's episode is brought to you by Ohio Power Tool, Pro Tools, Pro Service at the best prices at ohiopowertool.com. And Ego, power beyond belief. Welcome back, Power Tool fans. I'm Rob.
And I'm Sarah, and today we've got several tool stories for you, starting with an announcement from DeWalt. This is the DWE7800 corded drywall sander, which is technically set to replace the PC7800 from Porter Cable, and it comes with a bunch of upgrades. First, a variable speed range for better control, standard hook and loop backing for 9-inch pads, and a claimed 4 times longer drive shaft life. It also features a built-in airlock connection port for quick connection to DeWalt dust extractors, a dual action switch for either momentary or lock-on states, and a more comfortable grip. These specialty tools are in high demand amongst drywallers, but they don't come cheap. This corded example being $459. You can pre-order one today for a second quarter delivery this year.
Milwaukee finally launched the MXFuel tower light of my dreams, and for now we're all going to ignore that $3,000 price tag and just pretend I have one. First seen all the way back at a private sneak preview at MPS 19, the MXFuel Rocket Tower Light is your own portable sunshine, pointing 27,000 lumens of illumination onto whatever you deem to be dim. Thanks to its 8-inch all-terrain wheels, you can easily move it across uneven ground on the job site, and when you find the perfect spot, these amazing outriggers extend out and automatically level the thing. Did I mention I want one? Finally, the tower can expand up to 10 feet in the air thanks to its motorized mast, mainly so your neighbors know that your Milwaukee light is bigger than theirs. But it's not just a light, it's a charger, which is good news, considering the size of the MXFuel Red Lithium XC406 battery, which will run for 3 hours at 20,000 lumens, or 10 hours on the lowest setting, which sounds super boring to me. If I wanted a low setting, I'd buy something from Harbor Freight. So back to that $3,000 price, assuming you have that much spare folding money, you can get one this month.
Speaking of huge tools, Brian got his hands on the new Ryobi 40-volt HP Brushless Earth auger.
Whoa, Brian is not a huge tool. He's actually a nice guy.
I wasn't talking about Brian. I was talking about the Earth auger, dummy.
Makes more sense.
Ryobi continues to trick us into mentioning their tools by slapping an HP on the side and actually packing more power into the internals. This time it's in the form of a huge 8-inch Earth auger that has Brian a bit flustered. Despite the hard state of the early March Earth, the auger did a shockingly good job of putting great big holes where there previously were none. Which is good because that's what a good auger does. Brian has several plans to use the new tool in upcoming projects, but for now, he just dug up half a field.
This thing is a gem in the Ryobi line, especially the 40-volt line. So if you're looking at something like this, do not be afraid.
For the full review, head over to Workshop Addict.
All right, it's time for some tool talk. Last week, we talked about Milwaukee's decision to release their first M12 23-gauge pin nailer without the fuel features, and we asked you if their answer satisfied you. Greg said, purchasing non-fuel tools makes me feel uneasy, something several of you echoed. Andrew Lee narrowed in on the answer that made the most sense. It's not about whether we need a fuel version, it's the fact that we want a fuel version. For this week's Tool Talk, let's talk about the power tool battery platforms because it's starting to feel like it's getting out of hand. Milwaukee has the M12, M18, and MX aiming to cover as many tools as possible. DeWalt has 12, 20, and FlexVolt 60. Makita, well, I'm not even really sure what they're up to, but I guess 18, 36, 40, and 80 are all coming. And all the while, Bosch is claiming to cover the full range with just their 12 and Core 18 batteries. But honestly, I don't see how they'll ever take on MX with that. And of course, for all the tools that land in between, you end up with these huge 3.5-pound 12 amp hour batteries just to fill in the gaps. And of course, the problem this presents is how on earth do you commit to 1, 2, or 3 different platforms, even if you stick with just one brand? So this week, I want to hear from you guys. Tell me what trades you're in and what platforms you chose. Are you brand loyal, platform loyal? Do you have any regrets? And finally, what platform are you likely to add next and why? I'll be ready to talk in the comments directly after the show.
This was Women in Construction Week, and Shane over at Construction Junkie pointed out a new industry survey that shows some important gains and highlights some work we all still need to get done. A report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics points out that women only account for 10.9% of the construction industry, which is still a full point higher than 2019. To help amplify the voices of that 10.9%, Levelset, a cloud-based payment platform, conducted a survey of just over 1,000 women in construction. In addition, another survey of 718 women was carried out by the National Association of Women in Construction and Safe Site Check-in, a safety reporting application. The survey covers equality, opportunity, discrimination, and harassment. And while there are still many areas that have greatly improved, above 40% of the women stated that they have experienced discrimination based on gender, and about 25% responded that they have received unwanted attention from coworkers, supervisors, customers, or clients. On a more positive note, 81% said that their supervisor would support them if they reported unwanted behavior. For the full story and the rest of your industry news, visit constructionjunkie.com.
Last week we talked about Milwaukee choosing fuel or no fuel, which you can watch right here. Special thanks to Ego and Ohio Power Tool for sponsoring this episode. Guys, we couldn't do it without you.
Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.
We'll see you next week.